DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
I think now. Oh my gosh, we have sound. But
does it make a difference if your
my camera's shot?
If your video is stuck?
No,
there it is.
Yeah, I'm going to the other camera, and then yes, we have audio, and we have my second camera, so it's really wow. Okay, well, hey, we're having all sorts of fun tonight. Tonight's show is now on perseverance. When things just don't go right on the show.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh man, let's make sure we've got our stream going here. Yes, there we go. We have that one, and do we have our Facebook going? Yes, I think we are out there too. Okay.
I think we got people on chat too. Cool.
We do. So now we'll start over again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night. Goodness, I'm getting ahead of myself. Monday night here at DJNTV. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, well, a lot of different topics. My guest tonight is Johnathan Simmons. Good evening, Johnathan.
What's up, my friend? How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am glad that we were able to make it together and have a show tonight. We were going to do something a little earlier, and that nasty old flu bug
Oh
Lots.
yeah, I had the pneumonia, and that put me down for almost 3 weeks altogether.
Oh my goodness
But I
gracious.
am doing great now. Finally got through the holiday season and kicking off the first of the year, so
Yeah.
should be fun.
That's just not fun at all. Yeah, I'm playing with. For those of you watching, I'm trying to play with my colors a little bit because it's really not looking good. So I'm trying to change the.
That's better.
Okay, maybe
Ooh,
goodness, this is really. We'll go with that. That's close enough for now.
yeah, that looks fine.
We'll
That looks
we'll,
okay.
we'll we'll go. We'll run with that. So, Jonathan, what I wanted to talk about tonight is this past weekend, I got a phone call from a fellow DJ who's just really been struggling. And he and I have talked over the last number of years. And he is a single operator. He's a full-time teacher down in Nebraska. And what he's struggling with is basically he wants to spend his time as an entertainer and make it so it's worth his time to do. He books about 10 weddings a year. And no matter what he does, he's been raising his rates. He's been trying to do more things and add more things, but he books about 10 shows a year. And he's getting to the point where he's like, is it worth my time anymore? I'm
Is it
struggling.
worth it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to just have that kind of conversation because you're in this particular case. For those of you who don't know, I'm based up here in the north in Minnesota. Jonathan's down just out of Little Rock, Arkansas. So you're going to have two different perspectives on, where we've been in our career and where we are in our career and what we are seeing and feeling out there. So first off, Johnathan, for those who kind of give us a little bit of where you are in your business right now, so people have kind of that starting point.
Yeah, so I started DJing in college, doing a lot of bar and club stuff. And then after I got out of college, that's been almost 10 years ago, started doing a lot of mobile stuff just because a lot of my friends were getting married. So I've been DJing right at a decade now, which is cool. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's been a great ride. I've been full time as entertainment as my only source of income for a little over a year and a half now. So I'm still, I was that same guy, bivocational. I've done a lot of things. I was a delivery truck driver, and then I went to pharmaceutical sales. And then one day, my wife said, "You got to pick one because it's not working with two." I was never home. I was, just trying to hustle. So I chose entertainment over everything else, and it's worked out great for the past year and a half. Even though I've only done one thing, I've probably been busier than I ever was when I was working two jobs.
That's very interesting. So obviously your wife had a lot of influence in making that switch, but I mean it came down to money. I mean you're leaving a job that had a consistent paycheck.
Oh yeah.
How scary was that?
It was scary. I've always been a risk taker. I guess being an entrepreneur, you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
But she definitely wanted to see me follow my dream, which is cool. Like you got to have a good support system in anything that you do. But my wife really wanted to see me do what I wanted to do and have fun and live a dream. We always knew if it didn't work out, I could always go back into the workplace. But it's been a wild ride, and it was extremely scary because I quit in October. And October is right at the downhill slump of the wedding season here in Arkansas. Things start getting cold. We do a lot of barn weddings here, indoor, outdoor type of things. So October going into November, it starts to slow down quite a bit. So I quit my job at probably the worst point. December is usually dead. January is usually dead. And then you get into February, into the bridal shows, and things start to pick back up. But right when I quit, it was tough. It was scary. Yeah.
So your full-time job that you had, was that a full-time job with benefits at the time that you were stepping away from?
Full-time. Yeah, full-time job with benefits. I had a great steady pay. I was in pharmaceutical sales, so I made pretty good money. And it was great, but I was never home, and I didn't really care for it as much as I did my entertainment stuff. So I just wanted to be happy, and my wife wanted me to be happy. So I quit.
So, I mean, so you've got a decent paycheck you're having to replace, and of course some benefits. How did you make that swing? I mean, what kind of a transition did that take?
Well, the good thing is I quit a little bit before the open enrollment season, so I was able to get on my wife's insurance policy at her day job.
Okay.
The money thing, I knew going into it that the next year, which would be 2017, was going to be my biggest year. I'd already booked about 25 or so weddings that I had on the books for 2017, and it's still 2016, so I've still got plenty of time to add more, as the year and engagement season rolls on. So I knew it could possibly work. I would still have to get out there and hustle. When you're rallying for your own income, there really are no days off. A lot of people that work for themselves like to say that, and I didn't really believe it when I was bivocational. But when your job is bringing in money for yourself, there really aren't any days off. I spent a lot of time talking to Chamber of Commerce people and friends of mine in the industry, seeing what the new trends are, and going to eat with wedding planners and just different people that could possibly put some cash in my pocket.
Yeah.
If I'm not on a job site or working on the weekends, usually during the week, I'm meeting with someone in my community that I think could be a valuable resource later down the road. And a lot of the DJs, especially wedding DJs, feel like they have to stay in the wedding realm to use their equipment and use their talents. There's a lot of different things that go on Monday through Friday that aren't weddings. I know when I first quit my job, I went to my local Chamber of Commerce and I just said, what are some ways that I could be an asset to you guys and get involved?
Yeah.
So we started doing business after hours, at these different locations. And these different businesses, they don't have AV systems. They don't have lights and things like that. So I went in and I just, I was pretty much an iPod guy, but I was getting paid for my time and my equipment was out, and, I'm out meeting different people in the community that really didn't know I existed. It's just finding different ways to get plugged in and make some cash, guys. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And those connections, of course, that you're making out there, when they see that you're working with the chamber, there's a little bit of kind of brownie points that just come from some things like that, helping at churches.
It's, when people see that you're a chamber member and you're wanting to be involved in the community, not just kind of mooch off things that come, they tend to talk to you a little bit differently. They stand up, they sit up straight when they talk to you versus just saying, oh, well, that's just he's just a DJ, he's just a DJ. Right.
Nice. So the networking has been a big part of your transition and such.
Right.
How did you, as far as the marketing, the marketing before, did it differ between your part when you were doing this as a bivocational to the point to now when you're full time? Did you change that marketing up?
Definitely. I really kind of used I was doing, the small sponsored Facebook ads that would go up for, 2 or 3 weeks at a time, or not 2 or 3 weeks, really, just a couple days at a time. If I got a good picture from a photographer at a wedding, I would sponsor that post. And I would leave it up for a couple of days. And right when I quit, going into 2017 was the start of the bridal shows. So I really hit it hard, whether it was Instagram sponsored posts, Facebook sponsored posts, Google AdWords. I got a professional to take a look at my website and make sure that the SEO was up and running and functioning, and I was actually getting traffic onto the website. I think a lot of guys, and I'm no different, right? When I first started this as my full source income, they just see social media as a way to just put their posts up or put pictures up. They're not using it as a tool to draw people in. When you put these sponsored posts up and you're not putting keywords and key tags on things, really, I think you're just throwing your money away, and you're not going to see that reaction if you actually tailor your post to your target audience.
Speaking of target audience, this is going to be a little bit of a side, but for a lot of you who do your Facebook posts and you've created audiences in the past, you need to go and basically redo your audiences, because Facebook had a glitch in their system, and the audience that you created that might have been 20,000 brides around your area as 2 weeks ago, that audience has been pared down to virtually nothing, and it will give you maybe a warning and maybe it won't. But go and reset your audiences, do the same search functionality, because that happened over the weekend, that Facebook's audiences have all been messed up. So if you do Facebook advertising, this is something to know, because I wouldn't have known about this unless one of my insider Facebook marketing groups mentioned that. And I went and checked, and sure enough, 3 of the audiences I use quite often were all down from, in the Disc Jockey News realm, from 100,000 potential reach to 800 people reach. So
oh wow, that's huge.
So
that
yeah, so
huge.
just to keep that in mind. So that was, sorry to tangent, but you brought that up, and it's a good.
Oh man, that's good. That's good nuggets there. That's good.
So people are. We've got a lot of DJs, and some other friends have shared that they're really kind of struggling making that transition. What would be if someone was wanting to, how can I make this part-time thing just a little more profitable? What would be some of the areas you'd recommend them working on, or you're looking at first to become more profitable in this?
More profitable, I would say lighting. I've made more money off of just doing basic lighting for the smallest events than I have probably anything else, especially around the holiday season. If people are doing a lot of banquets and things of that nature, a lot of that money has been choked out, trying to save a buck or two, but they still want to have some sort of gathering. The lighting sells hands down, because you can actually show a client a picture of a before and after of a room that you frequent, and show them, hey, this is what you're getting for your money.
Right.
Up lighting, the textured lighting or whatever you have, use that as a tool to sell your services, not only, your DJ services, or whatever else you encompass in your business. I would say hit it hard with the lighting. Now, in the smaller markets or the larger markets, a lot of these venues are putting lighting, in to begin with, and that may be something that you've got to compete with. But in the smaller venues and things of that nature, you can use that as a big tool to upsell, definitely.
You mentioned, of course, when you're selling lighting, having the before and after pictures are very valuable. When you're showing these to people, specifically, I'm kind of envisioning maybe some corporate, if you're around the holiday time, are these things you're knocking on the door and saying, hey, this is my company, and how are you making contact to be able to show them?
I'm sending emails out to PR, whoever their HR PR people are, around October, right around the after Halloween. I'm sending emails out. If you're a member of a chamber, or it doesn't hurt to get on Google and see who the local office guy is of Coke. I did a Christmas party for Coke this year, and I got that simply by Googling HR over at Coke. I said, hey, I know you guys probably have a Christmas party coming up this year. I would love to put in a bid for entertainment services. If that's something you're interested in, I would like to, maybe talk to you in person, come down and sit and talk with you, or if you could just point me in the right direction. I think a lot of the guys, or, a lot of people are missing out on money just because they're afraid to ask, or they're afraid to do a little bit of research and get some information. I don't know these people. I'm just doing a little bit of research, and I know Coke has, it's $1 billion business.
Yeah.
I know they've got some cash. Well, why not spend it with me?
So when you're talking, of course, you're knocking on doors in essence, in a figurative way with that. Are you finding that is sometimes we have a hard time taking rejection? Is there rejection coming from that for the people
Definitely.
who are, okay. How have you dealt with that? I mean, that kind of after a while can get kind of bring a person down a bit.
It can get to you, and I think I built a little bit of a tough skin in the pharmaceutical business, because I got doors slammed in my face on a daily basis. We're talking 10, 15, 20 times a day. You give people your card and they say, yeah, we'll be in touch, and you see them chunk your business card in the trash as you're walking out the door. That's just a part of it. Talking to corporate America, you're going to get shut down more often than brides that come searching for you. But 9 times out of 10, these corporate accounts are where some big money lies. And it's not even just the big money, it's repetitive business. Coke, they're going to have a banquet coming up, or they're going to have, let's say, an employee appreciation dinner, or something where this is, a bride. You're going to do service for them one time, and then hopefully you get a referral off of that gig. Hopefully. But that a corporate account is going to have something coming up, if not that next year, sometime during the spring or during the summer, they're going to have something else coming on. It's just something you got to get used to, and it doesn't hurt. I think some guys, they get rejected once and then they never go back to that account. You got to follow up on those leads.
Yeah, very much so. I think that follow up and being consistent, because they may say no the first time or the second time, but eventually they might say, I remember something about this guy, and they don't remember what it is, but they'll remember something about this guy, and then they'll be like, let's go this direction. Gang, we're going to take a quick little break here for a sponsor spot, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to go kind of in a little bit different direction with Johnathan, looking ahead now, as he's been talking about and looking at some things as his business has changed. We'll be right back.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insiders.
All right, we are back, and make sure I'm looking at the right camera. So before the break, we were kind of talking about some things that Johnathan's been doing to build his business here in the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, as he's moved from the part-time to a full-time DJ. Now, Johnathan, before we got on, you were kind of talking about and you mentioned the lighting, and that's kind of moving you into that production realm, which is a little bit different than what a lot of DJs are doing. So kind of give us a little bit of an idea of what kind of production work you're doing right now.
I'm kind of in the smaller scale, working with a lot of colleges, small theaters and things of that nature. Really kind of going past. I've always been a big sound, bright lights guy. I love going to concerts, and I just kind of got in with some of the smaller production companies that know that I do a lot of the entertainment stuff. So they would call me. Let's say they're doing a big corporate gala and they just need a DJ for a couple hours. I would be their guy. So, at the end of the day, I'd walk out of there with a paycheck, and I'm thinking, why? I've got some lights, and I've got some truss, and I've got a pretty great sound system. Why can't I be this guy? So, after talking to guys like Ben Stowe about building my system and things of that nature, I've gotten into doing some concert production stuff with a lot of the colleges here. Just some things outside of the DJ market. But it definitely pays to grow. It's either evolve or die, and I'm trying to evolve every day.
So if you're looking at the production numbers as you're coming into 2018, if you were to kind of put them into percentages of doing typical mobile DJ events to some production things, are you talking a 70-30 or 30 production, 70 mobile stuff, or what?
I'd say right now it's for me myself personally, it's probably a 50-50. But I'm still I'm at the point right now where I'm trying to find great DJs to come on board and want to give this a shot and give it their all. I would love, let's say in 2019, to step away from the DJ side of things and into this production realm, but still keep DJing and entertainment as a part of my company. I don't think I'll ever get rid of the small intimate events. Just because that's I still love it. It's not that I don't enjoy doing it. It's just that getting into the nuts and bolts of doing bigger production is kind of where my heart has taken me to. I would love to, let's say 80-20 and like to be able to pick and choose the events that I want to spin at personally.
Sure.
And not just have to go out there and DJ every week just because that's how I pay my bills.
So you mentioned, of course, the finding of staff, and I want to kind of dig into that a little bit because this is something as people, I'm just about 50, and as I'm getting a little older and such, it's like, okay, now if I want to still do these types of events with schools and different things, I probably need to have somebody younger on staff to do those. So the struggle with finding people, how is that? Where have you been looking? How have you been handling that? I mean,
it is a lot tougher. It's tough, especially, I've been in business full time now for about a year and a half. But I've been building the Crown Entertainment, the DJ Woo Pig brand, for like a decade now. It's went by really fast, but I think a part of my problem, and I've been listening to people like Gary Vee who talk about expanding your team. I have such a high standard. It's hard for me to just let somebody go out there and do an event. And at the end of the night, if I'm at an event and I'm sending somebody else out, I'm worried. I'm scared about how they're going to do. And at the end of the night, I'm sending them texts and I'm calling them to see how they did. And they're like, yeah, everything went fine. And, am I thinking, did it really go fine? Am I, but, that's just a part of it. Where I like things to be, maybe way more, it's more than expected of the client. So, where I like things to be may be different than how the client likes it. They may think that the DJ did a fantastic job, and I'm thinking I would have done something a little bit different. It's just it's been a growing process. I've got to get a hold of Mike Walter and see what he thinks. He's the pro at this stuff.
He does. He's got some incredible resources out there for people who are getting into that. And when we started, none of that existed, or at least Mike was using those thoughts and those tools, but they weren't available for the rest of us. And I look at that, and that would make it much easier to train. But the part that you mentioned and that I struggle with is finding people you can trust.
That's it.
And it's really, really difficult because anyone who's got some skills, some people skills, and has a trustworthy streak is either working a full-time job during the week because someone's found them and they don't want to work on a Saturday, or if there's somebody who's paying them probably a lot more to be somewhere on a Saturday. Then
You're exactly right. Exactly right.
It's really, really difficult. Back when we first started, we could, and probably it's not a great thing to say, but we could go poach waitresses. Yeah. If a waitress would work for $25 in tips for the night, and she'd be making $3 an hour for salary. Well, you know what? You threw her $100 for doing a show, and she was like, "Oh my!"
Sounds fantastic. Yeah. I've been looking into, listening to the PhDJ podcast with Mike Walter and Joe Bunn. I've been listening to a lot of the tips and tricks that they throw out, and they say, a waiter, if your waiter does a fantastic job, why not toss them a business card and see where it goes?
Yeah.
I've been doing that a lot more often, really looking into college students just because they're fun and energetic, but sometimes finding the right one that isn't lazy has been a tough streak. So that's kind of where I've been looking, just around for people that kind of have your same attitude about life and are easy to get along with. That's where I've been looking most.
Yeah, and that certainly is one area. A couple of people in the chat room here. For those of you watching on Facebook, we're following the chat mainly on YouTube because Facebook, for some reason, is really doggy for me tonight. They're talking about getting into some high school kids and college kids, and that's been another area that I've heard a lot of DJs that do high schools, that they start to identify kids and they start to they can hey, come on in and help me set up this week and that kind of a thing. Yeah. And it can work. It also can get creepy and it also can get you in trouble, but.
That's true.
Many times,
you got
to be careful. But yeah, it definitely can be a source. I mean, two of my DJs were high school seniors, and it's like, this young lady's request, she's asking some really, for really good music, and would you be interested? And or this young man, he comes up and he's got that personality, and he turns around and he can go, and a crowd will go crazy because he just has that charisma that a lot of people don't. When you have that, you got to jump on that. I'm just checking the chat room here, so I want to make sure we keep up with that. If there's anything going.
Sonny, my friend DJ Bar's on.
Yeah, Bar's actually coming up in 2 weeks, and hopefully Bar's got it on his schedule. He's going to be doing a DJ hangout with us here at the end of the month, and we're
very cool.
Yeah, we're going to open it up and just have a night of hanging out and chatting away. So that should be a lot of fun.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good evening. So let's kind of continue then. As you look at the multi-system situation in your market down there for the DJs, how would you kind of, do you feel like the market down there is kind of saturated and you're going to really have to cut out a chunk or a niche for Woo Pig Productions, or is it something that there's kind of a nice hole within that industry or in the market there that you'll be able to fill?
It's tough. There's a lot of great DJs in Arkansas. I feel like it's a little oversaturated.
Okay.
There's probably 10 really great companies, and even 10 seems, if you're talking about a state like California, 10 great companies isn't that many. But you're talking about Arkansas, a state that's very poor, a state of only a couple million people. If you've got 10 good companies and they all have 5 good DJs, that's a lot. That's a big share of the market. So I feel like it's oversaturated, but then again, when I start to hear myself talking about the market being oversaturated and then there's no room for growth, I kind of see it as a challenge. And then again, I kind of see it as myself complaining and not doing enough work to get more business. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, and that was one of the areas that I've struggled with over the years, is that you look and it's like, okay, I can go and I can name 20 DJs who work in this market, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's just so many. But yet I have to think back to that there's maybe 20 DJs, but are there that many that are at the quality and are doing this in production or producing the shows, or they have the talent? Yep. Because as I've hired and released DJs over the years, finding out that great people can be very talentless when it comes to the DJ profession, whether it's they can't get on a microphone and speak, they can't read a crowd, they can't make 2 songs, go together without dead air, whatever their skill lack is. There's a lot of discrepancy between a really good DJ and an adequate DJ.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think, now more than ever, with so much equipment and things being so readily available to anybody who wants to be a DJ, it's hard to differentiate yourself. People, trendsetters like, just for an example, Jason Janai, who does a great job at keeping the game evolving. He's always standing out in the crowd. So why not, the thing that I try to do is try to be that difference here in my hometown or my home state. If I feel like I'm doing something too similar to somebody else, or somebody else is doing something too similar to how I'm doing things, maybe it's time for a reevaluation of how I'm doing it, and time for change. Change is good.
Oh, and Jason's a wonderful example of change, or a role model for that, because he has changed and evolved and rebranded and created, and he's done it right in front of our eyes in a very public way for us to be able to see.
Very public way, yeah.
And it's just a fabulous example of someone who's been able to take that to such a level. And it's neat to see. And what's really, for those of us who are wanting to look at a multi, is he has a staff and a staff behind him, and yet he's able to sell the staff now because that basic kind of pulling them along behind, for lack of a better way to describe
that brand.
Yeah, the brand has really become. Okay, we should do that software. We're not talking software tonight. We're talking. One area that people when they're talking about the weddings and marketing, all the different things, is they talk about the follow up after the event, and that's something I've kind of, I like to find out how different people handle that. Because when we finish with the event, there's a hug, there's a handshake, and then off we go. What have you have experienced afterwards that has helped your business?
The art of the follow-up. I always follow up. Whenever, the last thing I'll always say to a bride and groom, I typically always get as they're making their grand exit via sparkler or whatever, their send-off, when it's just the newlywed couple in the building, I'll typically always get a selfie with them, let them know that I appreciate them, and ask them how their night went. Did they have fun? Of course, if it's you always want to hear that they had a great time and their guests had a great time. You always want to hear those things. So what I always like to do at the end of the night, as they're leaving, the last thing I'll say to them is I'll say, hey, I know you're going on your honeymoon. I hope you have a great time. Whenever you get back, be on the lookout for an email from me. I just want to know how you think we did. I just want to hear your honest opinion, your honest feedback after you've had a couple days to listen, to let it marinate how the night went. and then we'll just go from there. If I really feel like I knocked it out of the ballpark, I'll include a link where they can go and leave a review.
Sure.
Sometimes it works out good. Sometimes things need improvement. I like to pride myself as a guy that does weddings really well, but sometimes things just don't click. And I want to hear that feedback. I'm a guy that's been doing it for 10 years, but there's always room for improvement. So if I knocked it out of the park, I'll leave a link where they can go and review me on Wedding Wire. I love getting those reviews just because it showcases you to other, potential clients. But I want them to tell me if something didn't go right. I want to hear it. Everybody makes mistakes. I feel as a veteran DJ, I make a lot less mistakes now than I did when I started.
Sure.
So usually nowadays it's good words. But if it's not, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, because a person can't grow unless you're getting that feedback. Because sometimes it's
you're getting that feedback.
In my head, it's perfect.
Right. So, I think, the way I do it at the end of the night, just talking to them one-on-one, usually at the height of the emotions, and they're fixing to go off into the sunset and go on their honeymoon. I think getting that picture and talking to them and letting them know that you will be in contact with them, I think that's a way to kind of seal the deal. And then once you follow up with them, midweek or whenever it is that you send out that follow-up email, just listening to their advice, if they had some critiques, or if they leave great feedback, be sure to follow up with them and tell them thank you. And then one thing that I've started to do always at the end of the year is I'll go down my client list. I've got their name, I've got their phone number, I've got their home address where their contract and stuff went. I'll send them a thank you card.
Sure.
I think that's one way. If you had an event in February and your bride has long forgotten about her wedding date, and she gets a thank you card in the mail for around the Christmas time, that's peak engagement season. If people are asking on Facebook who should we use as a DJ, or I just got engaged, they're going to remember you if you kind of resurface that, hey, I'm your guy if you need anything.
Yeah, especially in that just before Christmas time with that. That's a great piece of advice.
That's perfect. You got to hit it, especially your marketing. You have to hit that marketing hard during that peak engagement season. December into January, that's where I get a lot of my bookings for up until spring or so.
Yeah, that is, and I think that goes across the board. No matter what part of the country, this is that.
You're exactly right.
That time. We're going to wrap things up just a hair bit early because I got to drop the computer, I think, and restart and do a few other things to get our cameras fixed.
Technology.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to. It's a Macintosh, so I have to zap the PRAM for those of you who have ever done that. It'll be repaired, do disk utilities repair, zap the PRAM, and I may reset the power management system so we can be back by. Crazy.
People don't realize how much production goes into putting the show.
Yeah, sometimes and when it doesn't work. They're watching the ceiling fan. It's mesmerizing to them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will turn it off next time.
Yeah, you're completely fine. They need something shiny to watch. So, Johnathan, if people want to get in touch with you and ask some questions, or just kind of reach out and say, hey, thanks for the show, where's a great spot to do that? Facebook.
Reach me on Facebook or Instagram, all that stuff. It's at DJ Woopig. That's DJ WOOPIG. Go Hogs, go Razorbacks. But you can find me on there. All of my information. If you Google DJ Woopig, you will find my telephone number. Feel free to call me. People do it all the time, especially since the whole YouTube thing. People, I guess they feel like they know me, so they'll shoot me an email or they'll call me. I don't mind answering questions. Just give me a call. I will be the first one to tell you I don't know everything. I know what has worked for me in my market, so your results may vary. But I'm always here to give information and help where I can. Just like you do, you provide a great resource for DJs to learn and grow. If people feel like they can learn and grow from me, I'm more than willing to help.
And that's what we're here for, is to try to help them grow and avoid some of the things we did when we were
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Johnathan, thank you very much for being on tonight. And thank you guys for watching. We'll be back here in about 10 o'clock Eastern here with our show. We got about 15 to 20 minutes, so we're going to get some things fixed. So once again, Johnathan, thank you very much for being on tonight.
Perfect. Thank you, John.